you know, and I usually bring them into Figma and FigJam, and then I try to like show them how it works, but I won't be doing that for you because I want to just believe that you have basic idea of how to use Figma
No,
interface.
I don't have the idea. Oh, no.
I know you say no, I don't have the idea.
I
No,
don't I don't I don't know anything. Please.
yeah, yeah,
I
I
beg.
agree, I agree, I agree. So, but let's do this. So let's just continue. Let's just do more of research today. Let's look at some basic stuffs.
Okay, sorry, before we go on,
Yeah.
can you please recap when you said the when you do your sketches, does that fall under the prototyping?
No, no.
Because
Sketches.
I'm
No.
looking.
Okay, when it comes to prototyping, we have you have two levels of prototype. So you can do your prototype when you're still in your low fidelity work. What do I mean by low fidelity work? Anytime I say low fidelity work, I'm referring to your wireframes. Do you understand?
Okay.
So you can prototype your wireframes. The essence of prototyping your wireframes is probably test to know that the placements of your buttons are properly placed in a way that users can easily understand. Are you with me? You understand? But most rampant prototypes are done, after the high fidelity work is done. High fidelity work is when you finish doing your designs and then you now want to make everything interactive. Then you can prototype from a frame to another frame. Are you with me? So in recap, design thinking process, are basically five, but not restricted to these five. We have
Yeah.
number one, empathize, define, ideate, design and prototype, and then test. These are design thinking process. Now we've talked about UI UX, comparisons between UI UX, and the UI and UX deliverables that you expected to, bring to the table as either a UX researcher or a UI designer. That's what we talked about yesterday. So in today, and when we are talking about when we are talking about when we are talking about design thinking process, we we place so much emphasis on empathy, and we try to look at how empathy can actually help us to understand, the user. Now, and I told you in yesterday's class that empathy is actually so important, in the life of product designers because this is the easiest gateway for designers to come up with solutions that are user centered, right? And we're able to establish that as a designer, we must be as a designer we must be able to put the users at the center of all our design process. So in today's class, we are going to dive deeper into empathy and how we can use empathy to come up with useful data like empathy map and user stories. So let us proceed. You can see my screen now, right?
Yeah.
So empathy in UX. So it's a general norm for people to be confused, when we talk about empathy. Most times people relate empathy with sympathy. So it's general for somebody to say, this thing that people say, I sympathize with you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody can still come and tell you, I empathize with you, while what the person is actually doing is sympathizing with you. So what is actually empathy? And what is different between empathy, sympathy, pity, and of course compassion? Now these are the things you're going to find out in today's class. So what is sympathy? So sympathy is the acknowledgement of the suffering of others. I mean, that's like the English definition, right? So it's trying to acknowledge that others are suffering. And I think there is a full stop there. So that is where sympathy ends. So something happens, I'm like, omo, this guy they suffer, this guy is suffering, chai. But the problem is it actually ends there, like nothing else. You understand? So that is sympathy. So in UX, sympathy is limited to acknowledging that users are going through difficult scenarios, tasks, or journey. You understand? If we are sympathetic with our users, it does not mean that we'll put ourselves in their shoes and feel their pain or annoyance. So because you just acknowledge that these people are going through something, but the truth is that is where it stops. You are not moved, to think out how to actually end this suffering or end this pain or end this frustration that this user is going through, right? Now, for example, when we are designing an accessible website for people who are blind, now we may express sympathy by acknowledging that, yeah, they acknowledge that they have current potential challenges. So we're trying to design something for someone who is blind. We might just acknowledge that, okay, yeah, this person is actually going through a lot now. Right now, maybe they are not able to. Sorry, hold on. Maybe they are not able to like so maybe they are not able to read what we are writing. You understand? So they're not able to read what we are writing. So it becomes a very huge challenge for them, right? So, but
Yeah.
we as developers, we as designers, you understand? We don't just end there by this guy does not know how to read this platform or how to read this thing that we are writing. Chimes, we don't know how to read this thing that we're writing or putting on the screen, So, but when you are trying to empathize with them, you might